Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. My question is for the Premier. Speaker, this weekend the Premier will be heading to Asia on a trip to China and Vietnam. It was in Vietnam where, under 2 weeks ago, the Prime Minister failed to show up at a meeting with 10 other world leaders and jeopardized Canada's position in the Trans-Pacific Partnership negotiations. Given how important the TPP will be for Canadian agriculture, including Ontario's grain farmers, has the Premier raised concerns with the Prime Minister over what has been interpreted by other TPP nations as a snub at the APEC summit?
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And on the second part of that question, I just assure the member opposite that we are in regular communication with. We work very closely with our federal counterparts on all of the trade negotiations, Mr. Speaker, as we did on CETA, as we are doing on NAFTA, Mr. Speaker, and as we are doing on the TPP conversation. And as the member opposite will know, that none of those provisions have been finalized, and we will continue to work very closely with the federal government. And I will say to the member opposite, I'm very pleased to be able to take about 100 companies with us, Mr. Speaker, to China and to Vietnam, companies that want to develop partnerships, Mr. Speaker, that will mean more jobs in Ontario, more investment in Ontario, Mr. Speaker, which will, again, continue to help our economy to grow.
Thank you. Supplementary.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. The Premier actually has totally lost the point of my question, and that is that TPP, I agree, presents a great opportunity for Ontario's agriculture sector to break into new markets. The Premier's government website advertises her upcoming trade mission directly and references Ontario's and Vietnam's participation in the TPP as a key business tie. So, Speaker, I have to ask the Premier, why is she not pushing back at the Prime Minister to get the TPP talks back on track so that Ontario farmers and agri-food businesses will not miss out on a tremendous market opportunity?
Well, Mr. Speaker, the TPP talks are on track, Mr. Speaker. We're very pleased that there was a preliminary agreement in principle, Mr. Speaker, and we will work very closely with the federal government. And Mr. Speaker, as we have done, as we are doing now in the NAFTA conversations, Mr. Speaker, I'm acutely aware of two things. First of all, the opportunities for markets and the expansion of markets. That's why I am traveling with companies to China and to Vietnam, Mr. Speaker. It's why I'm so engaged with businesses here to make sure that they understand what the opportunities are abroad, Mr. Speaker. But secondly, to make sure that in these trade negotiations, in these conversations, we protect our industries, Mr. Speaker, that we protect and stand up for workers here in Ontario and make sure that when there is a negotiation of a trade deal, Ontario and Ontario's workers benefit, Mr. Speaker.